Thursday, everybody. It's Jim. It's Amadeus. And Amadeus, another day, another win for Inter Miami. And you were talking last night that the Stars, at least the Stars of Cincinnati, were out to see them last night.
Yeah, we had Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and all the Cincinnati Stars showing up to watch Messi in full force. But there you go. I said in the Leagues Cup as they were starting to bulldoze through it, I wouldn't be surprised if they went on and won the U.S. Open Cup as well. And sure enough, they got past the best MLS team right now in the semifinals. So I'm not quite sure who won that second game. But obviously they're going to take on one of them.
Houston beat Salt Lake at Salt Lake, which we both talked about yesterday, about Salt Lake being one of the few teams that wins better, plays better on the road than they do at home.
Such a weird thing for Salt Lake to do.
The funny thing is, had Real Salt Lake won, then the game would have been in Salt Lake. But since they lost, Miami gets the game, and so it's on September 27th in Miami. They will play Houston for the Cup. So
there you go. They should win that one then. Houston's not a good road team, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I did. It was kind of fun. We haven't, because of the way that the MLS has broadcast their games. They decided that they didn't hire Ray Hudson, who usually does the games for here in the United States. He and Phil Chase do them on BN Sports. They do the BN Sports games, which he does out of the studio in Miami. But CBS brought him to that game, and Ray, of course, is a wonderful analyst. He's also very funny. And about midway through the first half, he goes, if this doesn't get any more exciting soon, he goes, we literally are going to be bored to death before halftime. And it didn't get much better in the first half, but it certainly had a lot of crazy in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. It seems to be what this Miami team does, because even when they were down to Dallas in the Leagues Cup, it was the second half where they came storming back, because they looked down and out in that first half. So it just goes to show you the tale of two halves with this Miami team. You can't count them out just because they're down and out in the first.
No, and they've got local kids. I mean, they have two 19-year-olds on the team that are from South Florida, and it's crazy to think that you've got two of those young players, but think of the fact that they get to play on the same field with Messi, and in many cases benefit from a pass he gets or a pass they get to him.
Yeah, definitely. And, there's always something good for someone that age to play with a player like Messi. You can always learn, even if he's not the teaching type, you can always just learn from observing as well. So,
yeah. It's funny from that standpoint. So much of what was done yesterday with Cincinnati. Cincinnati was very aggressive and played a good match. It was the times that it was like they only let up a couple of times, and every time they let up, Miami made them pay for it. And they outplayed. I mean, I don't even have any idea what the ball possession had to be, but my God, Cincinnati must have had it all day.
Well, that's why they're a real contender for the MLS Cup for sure. And I think what you're starting to see is, because Miami walked through those first couple rounds of the Leagues Cup, and it wasn't really until they went on the road to Dallas where they had their first adversity. And then obviously that finals against Nashville, especially, I know you pointed out how aggressive Nashville was. And I think teams are starting to realize that's why they were able to walk through the early rounds in the Leagues Cup. Teams were afraid to challenge them. They were just letting Messi and Miami do whatever they want, and they were crushing them. Now, in the last few matches, Miami, if you noticed, they've been winning, but it's been a lot of draw-type wins where they have to go to penalties and things like that. And, I think a lot of that has to do with teams are starting to pick up now. If we get a little more aggressive, then it gives us a better chance because Miami hasn't figured out how to handle the aggressiveness. They're still used to, nobody was really challenging or touching us. And now so far, Nashville and Cincinnati have really, put up a good fight against them. Just unlucky at the end there, of course, because that was a very late equalizing goal.
Yeah.
Great cross by Messi. But, that was, you got to give credit to Cincinnati, even though they ended up losing, because that was one where they were a minute away from being the first team really to beat Miami in the 90 minutes. So
yeah, it was close. And I got to say that if you watch, but more the second half than the first half, Cincinnati was really counterattacking. Every time that, Miami would push forward, and then all of a sudden it'd be a break, and Cincinnati had the jailbreak going. And I'll tell you, had it not been for Leonardo, Campana, the keeper for Miami, man, that could have been, they could have scored 2 or 3 more goals. He stood on his head and had a really good game. But yeah, Cincinnati counterattacked them all night long, and they were just very lucky that that they were fortunate enough to get some defense at the last second when they needed. I had a couple of guys just misfire, missing the goal and kicking the ball in the stands to Joe Burrow or to Jamar Chase, whoever was in the back there.
Going for touchdowns instead of goals.
That's right. Yeah. Field goals perhaps. But Cincinnati played them.
Where's the Bengals kicker? Why wasn't he helping FC Cincinnati out? Get some practice?
I don't know. Maybe he was out of practice, practicing. University of Florida grad. So maybe he was definitely. I'm sure he was at his room resting and looking at plays for the the final preseason game of the campaign here as we get close to start of the season. But fun game. They will play against Houston Dynamo on the 27th of September, and it'll be a game played in Fort Lauderdale. I had seen where they were contemplating the possibility of playing the game at Joe Robbie. Well, I call it Joe Robbie. It's now let's see, it's gone through 17 different names. It's now the Hard Rock, and it turns out that the Dolphins will be playing there. And they, at this point in time of the season, they don't want to mess with the turf and try to make it work that way. So it will be played in Fort Lauderdale in front of about 25,000 fans, and then there'll be people hanging off the rafters and standing in trees. So it will definitely be a tough ticket again. And
they're going to have to roll in the extra bleachers there and have them from the outside of the stadium.
Right. Put the Jumbotron on and sell tickets to people outside the building. I'm looking forward to the situation where they play Red Bull this week. It'll be the only trip Messi makes to the greater New York area. And Red Bull plays in New Jersey. They built a little stadium over there. And
what is it with all these New York teams playing in New Jersey? If the Giants and the Jets play at MetLife, which is in East Rutherford.
A lot of it has to do with real estate. To put the footprint of a stadium in an area, you have to have a lot of space, and they don't have a lot of space. Back in the day, where Yankee Stadium is just like Wrigley Field in Chicago or Fenway Park in Boston. It's in a neighborhood. It's in the Bronx, and so back in the day when the Dodgers played in Brooklyn and when the Giants played over, also in New York at the Polo Grounds, they were definitely just like, you basically had to walk and take the subway. And so that's how people got to the games. Now that we're so used to having these bigger stadiums with a larger footprint, there just isn't any room in Manhattan to build them. So they obviously the Mets, are out on the island. And there was at one point in time some thought that maybe the Jets would they'd build a stadium for the Jets out there, but it made more sense for that whole thing to build a complex in Jersey. It's just across the bridge, so it's a little easier to get to. So And then there's a lot of Jersey fans. There are New York fans as well. So, that's where it is. But as far as Red Bull, I think they built it because it was cheaper and it was they could put it as part of a complex that they have out there where they do, a bunch of work with youth soccer out there in New Jersey. So we'll have to see. But this is Messi coming to New York, and probably the size of Red Bull Stadium, they could probably put all the media that's going to want to cover Messi when he gets there on Saturday. They go in a day early, so my guess is that there'll be Messi mania all over New York City for at least a couple of days. And the way the Yankees are playing, they're probably happy that they'll be knocked off the back page by Messi coming to town.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of the Yankees, I guess we're not having a fun stat breaker, I guess.
Right. They didn't get that 110-year, monkey off their back. It's still there. They're good.
Yeah.
So yeah, they came through last night and won. So yeah, good on the Yankees. I'd like to thank our friends at the Washington Nationals for helping them.
And they were up really early in that game. It's amazing how they can win games when they want to win games.
Yep. Operative term is win. A lot of UEFA European League, Europa League this afternoon, and Europa Conference League this afternoon. A ton of games being played. Many of them being played live as we speak. So, anything popping out at your, on your radar this afternoon about some of these games in the Europa League and the Europa Conference?
Yeah, like I said, I haven't been betting much of these qualifiers, but definitely curious to see what happens, just because obviously this will affect the group stage for sure. Whatever teams win these ties, because I believe that they'll do the draw for the group stage after this round, and then we'll find out what the groups are going to be. I believe that should be starting in September or at least October for sure. I do have to double check, but there's a lot going on. Obviously, we see Ajax is beating Ludogorets on the road right now, 1-0. So that's huge if they can come out of Bulgaria with a win, because then they go back home, and Ajax is a really good team. There's Olympia and Karabag going. I expect Karabag to probably get that one back home and win there. I don't see how they don't advance. They are the better team. Plus, they have a very strong home advantage, and they have the experience of going deep, and they've performed well in these European competitions. So Dynamo Zagreb, I expect them to get past Sparta Prague. I expect Slavia Prague to get past Zorya. So Union St. Gilloise, they should beat Lugano today. We'll see. Sheriff Tiraspol, they're favored on the road. I don't know if they win this one, but they'll definitely win when they go back to Moldova. So Sheriff's another one where they've had such a good record in European competition over the last few years. So that's a team to watch going forward. And Olympiacos will probably get through. The Lask Linz one here, Mostar is not a pushover. So this is going to be an interesting match, because Lask Linz, if they don't come away with a win at home, it's going to be very difficult when they travel for that second leg.
Well, Maccabi Tel Aviv is up 2-1, and that's in the 58th minute at this point in time. Rapid Wien is beating Florentina 1-0 in the 39th minute of that game, which, by the way, can be seen on Paramount Plus or CBS Sports Gonzola, and pretty much all kinds of crazy there. But there's all kinds. And then, of course, tonight, your favorite, Copa Libertadores, is up, and that's an interesting game starting at 8:30.
Yeah, definitely an interesting game. So we didn't have a great night last night. It's funny because I lost with Boca Juniors, who tied 0-0 at home. and I lost with Botafogo as well, who had the lead and ended up blowing it in the 77th minute against Defensa. Just a bad rebound that the goalie didn't collect and ended up letting it in. But I cashed the free play on Palmeiras, who came out and absolutely throttled Deportivo in the first half. It was 3-0 by halftime. So Palmeiras, like I said, looking like the strongest team on the continent once again. And I mentioned, when now that makes it 3 wins in a row, and when they get on a roll like this, they are a tough team to stop. So Palmeiras is definitely a team to ride going forward. But yeah, this one tonight is Fluminense and Olympia, and I didn't really like the game because Fluminense, you would have to take them pretty much -1.5 for their any value because they're a -250 favorite, and I'm not sure if they're gonna win by more than 1 goal. They've been very good at home, and they should win this no problem. But I could see them winning by 1 just because they've been that kind of team at home lately. They haven't really been destroying teams. And this Olympia team, they're no pushover in this competition. They did kick out Flamengo in the last round, and Flamengo is still one of the best teams in the continent, even though they're no longer in the competition. If you're just going to look at teams on paper and talent wise, Flamengo easily has one of the best teams in all of South America. So that was a huge win for Olympia. They're going to come into this match with a ton of confidence. And if you're Fluminense, you have to be saying to yourself, after seeing what Olympia did to Flamengo in the last round, Fluminense has to say to themselves, we need to get a lead in this game at home. We have to take advantage of this home leg, and we have to be winning by more than 1 goal, because obviously Flamengo lost 3-1 on the road there in Paraguay, and that's what got them knocked out. And Fluminense, if you look at their history, they've actually been kicked out of Copa Libertadores by Olympia in every meeting they've had with them in the competition. So this is, and they definitely, the last 2 trips they made to Olympia or to Asuncion to play Olympia, they definitely did not do well in those matches. So this is a very important match for Fluminense to come out on top, because if they don't go into Paraguay with a lead, there's a very good chance we could see Olympia kicking out another Brazilian giant from this competition.
Which, it seems to be their MO, right? I mean, it's like, okay, well, you think you're good? Not so much.
Olympia is that kind of team. When I was watching the first leg against Flamengo, and they only won 1-0, the commentators were even mentioning, this Olympia team's no pushover. They really needed to get more done at home tonight. And sure enough, obviously they went to Asuncion and lost that second leg. So yeah, the commentators know, they see it year in and year out. This Olympia team, they, as poorly as they're doing in Paraguay, and they're not doing well in the domestic league right now, they always get up for these South American competitions, and they always, find a way to put their focus on it. So they're a tough team to kick out of this competition, and Fluminense definitely needs to take advantage of their home leg tonight.
You know what? It really is an old saying that goes to all sports, and that is, take care of your wins at home, and then if you can grab something on the road, that'd be good. But most importantly, you got to win at home first, and we'll see how that works out for them. And so you've been very impressed with the quality of play in this is one of the very important tournaments in South America.
Yeah, Olympia has actually they've been very good. They haven't been good on the road. They did get dominated by Flamengo, but they only gave up the 1 goal. With like less than 25% possession of the ball, they only lost 1-0 in that match. And obviously they went home and won it 3-1. So that should tell you all you need to know about their confidence at home. So that's why Fluminense, they really do need to come out strong tonight, because this Olympia side, even if they get outplayed and outshot all night by Fluminense, there's a chance they only give up one goal. They might not even give up a goal. So, Fluminense's got to be on their game, or else Olympia is just looking for a draw here. They're just looking to escape this match and get it back home for the second leg. That's their goal tonight. And if they can do that, then Fluminense is in trouble going back to Paraguay for sure.
Well, there you go. That's we now know what to look for. And let's jump over to the Major League Baseball scoreboard this afternoon. The Yankees are up on the Nationals by a score of 3-1. Judge has hit a home run in that ball game. And that's in the top of the fifth and the bottom of the fourth. The Rays are beating the Colorado Rockies by a score of 1-0. End of one, Red Sox up 1-0 over the Astros. There's a top of the ninth rain delay in Cleveland. 6-1, the Dodgers are beating the Guardians in that game.
Just call the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, clearly that's not going to be a replay. I never really figured out why. I mean, if it's a torrential downpour, I get it, but that they should just, call it. But I've unfortunately, the one thing about doing baseball and I love, directing baseball, but the one thing that killed me about directing baseball was rain delays. It was like, oh gosh, figure it out. Just, because you'd sit there, you had nothing to do. I mean, you're not going to, you're not filling it. And so, we're sending it back to the studio for, conversation or whatever. You just sit there and wait for the rain to stop. And so what you would hope to be a 4-hour, broadcast or 3 hours, with that, with the game intact, turned out to be sometimes a 6 or 7 hour, which made it for like a 12 or 13-hour day. So it's like, I will say this. I know a lot of people hate it and a lot of purists hate it, but putting the runner on second base, I'm all for that. Because, man, those extra innings they just grind on. And so I'm a opponent of that. So let's just say that unless something crazy happens, the Dodgers have a very good chance of winning this afternoon, leading up 6-1. By the way, the line score on this is 6-14-0 for the Dodgers. The Guardians 1-4-1. So it hadn't been a good hitting day for the Guardians in that regard. 7:05 starts.
They still have another game to go after. I think that's.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. That was rained out yesterday, and now it's in a rain delay today.
And because we know that the Dodgers don't make a lot of trips to Cleveland, this is one they're gonna have to sit and wait out. I mean, unless they know it's not gonna stop raining until tomorrow, at which case then they'll postpone it and they'll play it. And we've seen this happen before. As the final, once the season is over, you have to go and play a makeup game. So it's conceivable if the Dodgers needed it or Cleveland needed it, that this game would be played, after the season was finished. So it is conceivable.
And you know what? Cleveland might need it.
I was going to say, this is one of those games where, darn it, that may be a game, where, the Dodgers go bullpen game. It just said, forget it. We're not going to, we're going to the playoffs. We don't want to, waste any pitchers. They may bring up a kid from AAA.
Bobby Miller.
Yes, there you go. I don't have a pitcher for Pittsburgh tonight, but the Cubs are at the Pirates 7-5 steal on the hill for the Cubs and a TBD for the Buccos.
The Pirates, I got A. Jackson.
Okay. So Jackson's pitching for the Pirates. Okay. Blue Jays, Orioles. That's been a good series so far. And Barrios pitching for your Toronto Blue Jays, while the Orioles has Gibson on the mound. Rangers, Twins, Haney for Texas, Lopez for Minnesota. The Athletics visit the south side of Chicago, and they've got Walchuk throwing for Oakland, and they've got Showens pitching for the Pale Hose. Reds D-backs, Williamson on the hill for Cincinnati, and Kelly gets the ball for Arizona. And by the way, to your point, the to be determined game, which would be the game that would start after the rain game between the Dodgers and the Guardians, pure points for the Dodgers and Williams, G. Williams, that is, for the Guardians. So that's your afternoon scoreboard where we stand at this point. We got 4 games going and 3 games going and 1 waiting. So that's where we are at this point in time. It's definitely a crazy deal. Had a couple of questions sent into us, and this is one that Mr. Boomer Brown wants to know. He wants to know, Amadeus, what do you think of Liverpool this year?
I think Liverpool is going to be better. I do think Liverpool is going to be better. I think the signing of Mac Allister was a correct replacement for Sadio Mane, something that they didn't do last year. And so far, you're definitely seeing some improvement with the way they've been scoring. But at the same time, it seems like Liverpool is going to be very attack heavy this year. They still have a big problem on defense from last season that they didn't do much to address in this transfer window. Maybe they do something in the wintertime when they see that they're in a decent position, and obviously they're going to try to go for the title. But I definitely think they do need to make some improvements to their defense, but this could be a top 4 team. It really depends. I only say could be because the league is going to be so competitive this year. I think obviously Foxy's Newcastle has a great team. Manchester City is still great, but we'll see, because like I said, I don't know about this team. If Kevin De Bruyne is going to be out an extended period of time, I think Man City will have their struggles. But Arsenal's gotten better. Man United's supposed to be better. Every move they've made in the transfer window was moves to make the team better, and it hasn't translated on the pitch yet. So that's a team where, I'm expecting them to be better, but who knows at this point in the season. Liverpool should be better. Brighton was a team I expected to take a step back, but they look to be very, 8-2 start to the season in their 2 games. So, it's definitely, Brentford still looks good, even missing Ivan Toney to his suspension. They've looked decent in their first 2 games. So it's definitely going to be a competitive league, but I would have more hopes for Liverpool this year than I did last year for sure.
Nick James wants to know, he is a fan of Paris Saint-Germain. What do you think of them this year?
Again, it's tough to say. So I need to actually check if what has gone on with the Mbappe stuff. I haven't been following too much on that, but I mean, even I hear Mbappe is going to play in the next game for them, is what I hear, and I think that he probably even played. I'm checking if he played in the last match for PSG. He was on the bench in the last one, which was something that he wasn't in. Something he wasn't in the first match. So that's a good sign. If he does choose to play for the team this year, see, that's the thing, is it's very up in the air, I guess. But I do think they have made some decent moves to try and replace him at least, right? Like, how do you replace Mbappe? But, bringing in Dembele, bringing in Gonçalo Ramos, obviously the Portuguese super kid. So there's definitely, they do have some solid talent. I think they're still going to be a force in France. I don't think it's cut and dry that they win the league title, just because there's quite a few good teams. Obviously, I think Marseille is a very good team. I expect Lens to take a step back this year after losing Luis Openda and Seko Fofana. Those are the 2 best players, and they're gone now. So I don't see Lens being as good as they were last year. But Rennes is a team that has actually really surprised in these first few games. They've looked really good, Rennes. So I think Rennes could be like a Marseille, challenging for the title with PSG, but we'll see. I definitely don't think PSG is going to be a bad team just because of everything that's going on with Mbappe. They still have the money and made the moves to remain a good, talented team.
Carter Wyatt wants to know, is the Saudi League something that is for real?
You know what? It's here to stay right now. You have all these superstars fleeing there. Obviously, Ronaldo was the first to go. They're throwing money at Mbappe and Messi, but we've seen players like Benzema go. I think Neymar's in the Saudi League now. He's landed there. So definitely there are some big names in the Saudi League. So it all depends really, right? Because these players, they seem to be throwing a lot of money at players for short period of times on the contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say, is the league for real, because it's here to stay for the moment because they have all these players signed for the next 2-3 years. But once we get 3 years down the road, who's to say any of these players re-sign there or continue to stay in the league? So that one, I think the future is TBD with the Saudi League still, but for the time being, absolutely, there's a lot of talent there, and I'm sure it'll grow as a more exciting league with all the names like Benzema and Neymar and a bunch of other superstars joining there for the money.
Benjamin Hawks would like to know. This is a funny one. He would like to know, is Sean and the rest of us Manchester United fans, are we going to be happy at the end of the season? I don't think you're ever happy, Benjamin, but I'm gonna let that one go to Amadeus.
Yeah, I think I kind of answered that with the Liverpool question too. Man United is a team, I expect them to be better this year. They did nothing but make moves to improve the team. But right now, they didn't look good in the first game. They looked awful against Tottenham in their second game. They need to get their act together first. But yeah, once they have everything together, this should be a team that should go on a big run, and they're definitely a threat to finish in the top 4. Absolutely.
So the good news is, there'll be things you do not have to concern yourself with there.
Well, you could, if you're a Man United fan here, I'll give you some optimism. Manchester City is always the team that gets out to a slow start every year. And this year they've come out, on fire in the Premier League specifically. So, maybe Man United is drawn a little of that slow start, and then they're gonna pick up steam down the road. So that's what you have to look forward to, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's funny because so many people here in the United States have become Manchester United fans because it's kind of like the New York Yankees, right? If you don't know a lot about baseball, or you don't, and you have to pick a team, or you hear of a team constantly, you become a fan of the team almost by proxy, and maybe in some regards that's what it is. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But thanks to everybody for some fun questions there. One more, Royal Horned Gator. Okay.
Sounds like a question for you, Jim. Just from the name. Got 3 college names in there.
Yeah.
Horned Gators.
Royal Horns. Yeah. Okay. What's this one? Okay.
If TCU in Florida had a child, the Horned Gators.
That's right. Actually, it is a football question. He wants to know Utah against Florida this week, which would be Thursday. A week from today, actually. Who wins? Okay.
Well, Utah.
I pretty much think Utah's going to win. Graham Mertz is the quarterback at the University of Florida. Okay. And he was at Wisconsin last year. Now, if you look at his numbers at Wisconsin, they were not, eye-popping. But then again, they need a lot of talent around. He likes Billy Napier's offense, which is kind of a ball control offense. And so they'll run, they'll dink and dunk you. That's kind of what they do. It's like a little bit of a West Coast offense, kind of a hybrid between what Shanahan runs at, at San Francisco. So that being said, I think it all boils down to if Cam Rising plays, because the number 2 quarterback, whose name escapes me at Utah, is banged up. And so if Cam Rising can play, and Cam Rising at 60% is good enough for Utah to win. And Florida's not that deep in defense. They're a very young team, but on both sides of the ball. They got a lot of 4 and 5 star players, no doubt about that. But I'm gonna go with Utah winning this game. I just it may be close, but I don't think I'd like to say the Gators are going to do it, but I really don't see any way that they win this game. On the road against a very good, 11th ranked Utah team, and Utah's got plenty of firepower left there, and even if Cam Rising doesn't start, they should be able to give Florida enough grief. Now, if this could be a coming out game for Graham Mertz, if that's the case, then yay, you go Gators. But I don't know. I got a feeling it's not going to be a coming out party for Graham Mertz. Maybe later down the road, but not this time around. So sorry, guys. Well, anyway, there were some fun questions, and you got a good chance to get some in. I think we have some in the Foxy box. We do. Okay. So Botafogo game went how I was fearing it would. Struggled a lot. Okay. And
yeah, you know what, Foxy? They I was on Botafogo too. They had their chances in that one. Did you see that one? I forget who the player was, but he pretty much dangled the whole team with his feet, and then he just messed up the finish in the box. He kicked it right at the goalie and not too much power, but I thought for sure that was going to be the winning goal, because that was right after Defensa had tied it. But Suarez is a big loss for sure. But they were the better team, and they still should have came away with the win in that one.
Well, he's weighing in on Liverpool here for us. Doesn't like the midfield.
Yeah, I agree. That's part of the reason why I think the defense is poorly, because it's not the midfield that's weak, in my opinion. I think the midfield, it's the defensive midfielders. Like, they have attacking midfielders, but that's the problem, is they're attacking midfielders who are playing in the midfield play themselves more like forwards, and it leaves a gap in the center of the field because they don't have strong defensive midfielders, and their defense is already bad. So then it leaves a lot of open spaces and allows for opportunity for them to get shredded on the back line.
So there you go. All right.
He says they're going for Fluminense's Andre there. I'm just curious. I know one person mentioned Barco from Boca Juniors possibly going to Liverpool. I don't know about that, but what do you? I'm just curious what you think about that, Foxy. Barco, where do you think he lands?
Let's see if Foxy gives us an answer on that. So. Well, you're always high on. There's a lot of young kids in those leagues down there that you're high on, that you want to see, or at least end up going over and playing in European.
Yeah, he's another one that's, I think, like 19 or 20 years old. But I only mention it because I remember the commentators were talking about how he's kind of got his style of play. He's got Premier League written all over him. And I think the one commentator is a Liverpool fan, and he said, we just signed an Argentinian, but I would like if we signed him. So obviously he's referring to McAllister there. But I'm interested to see where Foxy thinks Barco's going to land, because he's another one. He's another one like Vitor Roque and all these other young stars. He might not. Barco's not really the goal scorer, but he's got great vision, and he's a great playmaker for sure.
Well, it's funny because when you said what do they got a limit on how many Argentinians they want to sign? So we got our Argentinian now, and we need others. So
I think it's more so the price tag, probably. That's a good one, hefty one.
Yeah, it's don't come cheap. So
Yeah, especially after winning the World Cup, these Argentinians have
True. And
now you got to go for the kids that weren't on the team.
Right, best way to go. Well, I guess Foxy's not weighing in on that one. So while we're waiting for Foxy, why don't you tell people, other than of course in the show box below, where they can see your fine work and also what we can look forward to tonight.
Yeah, so you can get my plays at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com. The links are in the description below. Don't have much going on tonight, just the one play in MLB, nothing on the pitch. Didn't really like these Sudamericana or Libertadores matches, but I definitely will have some soccer up for tomorrow in all the big European leagues, and on the weekend we'll have the Premier League, La Liga, you name it. Plus, I will also have probably later tonight, I will have some college football for Saturday. So
right.
It's time to get into that season, Jim.
Week 0.
Oh yeah, week 0.
Week 0. So it's gonna be crazy. So we'll have some fun with that tomorrow. Well, Foxy, if you come up with what we're saying, leave it in the comments below. We'll pick it up tomorrow from that standpoint. But anyway, thanks everybody for some questions, and we had a lot of fun. Of course, thanks to Amadeus for imparting the wisdom that we need to answer those questions. And we will see you tomorrow. It'll be a Friday, and all excited to be able to have a nice weekend and enjoy some soccer. Everybody have a nice day. We'll see you tomorrow.